it's like a family atmosphere here.
It all goes together, and I think that it's very important for business owners to
They still give us 5 stars.
Something happens like on a job. You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Man, hit those buttons. Write the comments, leave the reviews. Today, we got Matt Leader from Pro Storm Repair out of PA. What's up, man? How are you?
How's it going, Jim? I'm good.
It's too bad about those Eagles this year. At least one of the Kelsey brothers is still playing, right?
Yeah, we don't really root for them though, since they beat us. So we'll look forward to next year. This year, don't really want to talk about it. Already baseball season for us.
That's how I feel as a Vikings fan every year. It's like, let's not talk about it.
I'm sorry about 2017.
Exactly. That's the only year we can talk about. Yeah. How are you, man? So you're one of the managers over at Pro Storm Repair.
Yes.
I know a lot of times, most of the time we have owners on the show, right? But a lot of times, with the company, as companies grow and leadership builds within that company, I think it's important to understand how that happens, right? So and how a lot of times the team, becomes such a contributing factor. Right. And I think that through our early conversations, I think that that's what you guys are doing over there. You're building a great team. And so wanted to get you on the show. You're doing some cool stuff. How did you personally, what was your journey into the roofing industry?
So I started, I'm 31 now. I've been here going on 5 years. So right before I got here in 2020, or technically the end of 2019, I was actually a car salesman. I hated the hours because you have to work, every Saturday from, open to close. And then you only have one day off during the week. So it got a little old. And I actually just started looking for jobs. I've always wanted to be kind of a project manager. I used to be in the Carpenters Union, but I got good at sales. So I came across Pro Storm, just searching jobs online. They had really cool trucks because we wrap our trucks like most other companies like us. And you get a truck and you kind of just get a little bit more freedom to set your own schedule. And, I was brought on basically doing sales, being a sales rep, or we call it a damage consultant. Then, to be honest with you, when I first started, it was a little rough. I didn't know anything. I didn't sell a job for I started in the winter too. So it's a dead season around the holidays. I didn't sell a job for maybe a month or two. Luckily we had a draw, you got X amount a week, but, thinking back on it, where I am now, I kind of think back, I don't know how I made it through that or, what made me stick with Pro Storm and stick it through.
Yeah.
But that's basically how I got into it. It's kind of just one of those weird stories where you just find something and, you find a fit.
What attracted you to the roofing sales side versus car sales? Was it the soul, the freedom, the potential freedom you can have, in your time? Because, man, like you said, car sales is terrible, man. Like when you're working those bells and bells, right? And it's,
you ring the bell when you sell
every weekend and every, that's a grueling sales job, right? What was it that attracted you to maybe I'll give this roofing thing a shot?
It was definitely the freedom. I'm glad I did car sales because it taught me.
Yeah.
I kind of went from being shy to more open because car sales, it basically forces you to talk to someone as soon as they walk in the door. So I'm glad I did that because then, doing door knocking and getting out there and opening up claims and stuff, it became a little bit easier. Just from selling cars, but I would say it's definitely the freedom. You basically make your own schedule. But I would tell new guys, you can make your own schedule, but you also got to be careful because you can get complacent. You know what I mean? You could wake up at 12. You might not have an adjustment till 4. And then, you got to find things to keep doing. Especially with you guys put a lot of information out there for guys to learn from. So that's something we always tell guys too. It's like, if it's a rain day like today, come in, do some training, watch, Adam Bensman's videos, watch, Roofing Success podcasts. You could always be doing something because you can get complacent, and that's kind of hard in sales in general. But the freedom is nice, but it also can hurt you.
Yeah, it comes with responsibility, right? Like you gotta be putting your time in. So over the time though, you've transitioned to a different role, and I think that's one of the things that I wanted to speak about, because I think from we talk about this from an owner's perspective a lot, but like having the right people in the right seats. There was a point in time where you kind of realize, like, man, I'm just not enjoying sales as much, or how was the transition into more into the production side?
Basically I'd say my second year, I kind of went through a little bit of a slump. Like I would always go out, do what I had to do. But for me, it seemed like it just got a little bit tougher to get things approved. So I actually I was thinking, maybe look for a different job. I always put my hat in the ring to do, we call it production. Not every company does this, but a field production supervisor. Basically, you're the one out there running the roof crews, making sure the work gets done on the roof, siding, whatever jobs we have going on. You're out there. You're the face of the company. You're kind of the boss on the job site. So I always mention that. And then when I was thinking about leaving sales, the owner of the company, Bob Herman, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I think you'd be a perfect fit for a production supervisor." So I thought I'd be great at it too. It can be chaotic. Sometimes we have, I've done as many as 6 roofs in one day, kind of running from job to job to job, making sure everything gets done. So with the sales experience I had talking to customers, and then also, I have some construction experience, it was a perfect fit. And ever since then, I've just been doing more and more here. Not just field production. I do stuff in the office, help the sales guys, help production in the office. And obviously I'm here speaking to you now. Yeah. So I'm kind of starting to do the social media stuff too.
Yeah. I think that's an important part. Like there's always a kind of a clash between sales and production, right? Like there's always productions, sales is screwing things up. They didn't get this. They didn't tell them that. And then, on the production side, the sales guys are like, man, just take care of it. Just get it done. What's the problem, right? Like, so it's probably good to have that aspect of it going. What would you tell like the team on the production side, someone that has not been in sales before? What things do they need to know from that the sales reps deal with that you wouldn't have known if you never were in that position?
So you're asking for people sales people now? Yeah,
like for someone on the production side who maybe they're a production supervisor, field supervisor, something like that. They're out there on the job sites. They're doing what, kind of that side of the business. Yeah. What are the things that they need to know about the sales side that they may not know?
I would say the biggest thing, because like you said, I did sales too. So the biggest thing is that not everything's going to be perfect. Sometimes I catch myself getting mad because basically at the job we get a contract scope of work of what we're doing. And, I'll find out things while I'm on the job that they don't have written down. You know what I mean? It might be, we're putting in a skylight and I get there, no skylight checked off on the contract, stuff like that. So I would just say, you got to be able to have communication with the salespeople. There's a way to approach it and, not yell and scream at them. You kind of got to sit them down and show them like, hey, man, I need, on this job, we're doing a shingle roof, but then there's a flat roof on the back. And many guys might not know about flat roofs. We've had this issue before. I sent an email out with pictures. I need slag stop drip edge on the sides, and I need C5.5 on the bottom commonly. A lot of sales guys didn't know that, but you just have to find the way to approach it and teach them it instead of just yelling about it. And you have to just show them what you need and what you want on the roof order, siding order, stuff like that. That's probably the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah, in those teachable moments, I think that's a good thing from a, in team communication. I mean, you guys are what in the eight figures, low eight figures, 12, 13 million kind of range. Like, man, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on all the time. So there's probably a lot of teachable moments. But then how do you take that teachable moment? Is there an instance where you're like, okay, we're going to take this teachable moment. We started seeing this over and over again. Now we bring it into a process that has turned into, hey, on the sales side, you have to make sure that you're notating this, or you have to know, what are some of those things that you guys have done over time to make that process more efficient?
I'd say one of the biggest things, we used to just have, production like me, and then you would have X amount of sales guys. But I want to say within the past 2-3 years, we started doing team leaders. So team leaders have their own sales guys under them. So it kind of just creates a chain of command. So if I really need something, and I'm pretty friendly with the team leaders now, we've known each other for years, but if I need something, I go to them and communicate to them. Then they relay it to their whole team. A lot of these guys might have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys under them. And that's probably the best way. And then, like I said, on a rain day like today, I'll send a text out or group text or tell the team leaders, hey, if you guys, I noticed this has been an issue. You guys have been forgetting to, let's just say you've been forgetting to put drip edge, or you keep putting white drip edge when, you guys really have to check the color of the rake metal and the fascia metal. Why don't we come in the office and we'll go over it and answer any questions you have or any issues you have. We can talk about it in person. That's probably the best way to do it. But the team leaders things have been huge because it just gives you, you don't have to talk to every single person. You can just create that chain of command.
Yeah. How did you guys structure that? Like, when did you decide? Because, I mean, what are you guys running? Like 12, 15 sales reps now? Like, I mean, that's it starts to get like challenging to manage from a, one person managing 15 people is, like from a sales side.
Yeah.
So is that what you've done? You've like, hey, okay, now that as we're growing this, how did it develop in the company, and what's the thought process behind it?
So it actually developed when I was doing sales. I was asked to be a team leader. It's kind of something the owner thought about doing, just to kind of keep everything more organized in-house. It also creates the team leaders. It creates more money for them to earn, because the better their guys do, they'll get, we did a bonus structure where they'll get a bonus off them too, because they're putting the time in to train them. They're putting the time in to help them out. And it takes pressure off of, the office staff, off the owner. And it's kind of they're kind of just the main guys that are trusted here, that have put the time in, put the effort in. Their sales numbers are good. They go to work every day. They're the people that get approached to become a team leader. So right now we have, I think we have 4 team leaders now. We just made one of our guy, Josh, he's a team leader now. So what he'll do, if there's guys that are newer that have been here for a little bit, he might get those guys, or we encourage them to go out and actually hire sales guys, guys that they think will fit, because it makes it better for them if they like the person, they think the person can do good, that they can bring them in, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker that they used to work with. We encourage them to bring in new guys, and it just makes our team better. But it also just takes off the pressure of the office, of the owner, and makes things run smoother.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing. How many of the team now, how much of the team has been built from those personal connections? Like, or is it more like, hey, everybody got hired through LinkedIn?
So I would say when we first started, there was maybe 6 of us. When I started, I came here a year after the company originally started. And then there's basically like the core. Besides the owner, there's our GM, Chris, me, there's another Matt. And we're basically been the 3 that have been here the longest. And then a couple guys, our top seller, Joe, he interviewed through a bunch of companies and he was a fit for us. So he was kind of just found us. But a lot of the guys are friends. We have a guy, Craig, he's a, over $1 million producer. He brings on a lot of his friends. So he's got a lot of friends or coworkers from old jobs that he reaches out to and brings them on. He keeps bringing guys in. But yeah, I'd say most of it is, I guess it's just people just find us. We don't really do a lot of like LinkedIn, like putting ads out there, stuff like that. It's more of like word of mouth type stuff. We did do one time, which is kind of a funny story. We had a meeting with the owner, the GM, and a couple of us, and we made signs like to put out on the street, like, we're hiring type signs. And I wanted to make it funny because, the type of guys that we want are, regular guys that, can, have humor, can joke about stuff, but can also talk to people. So I did, if you ever seen Step Brothers, the movie, when they go for a job interview, we did that picture of them in the suits. And we made a sign that said, job slow, become a pro. And we actually hired one of our top sales guys, Dan, from that. Well, that sign, he left his 60-hour a week job that he hated. And he came here and he's been selling great. It's his third year, I believe.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of, we use different ways, but most of the time it is probably word of mouth.
Yeah. And that's it. But it's fun to bring that personality into it too. Like, I look at marketing a lot of times. A lot of times we're thinking about marketing just to future customers, to potential customers. But you're a lot, part of marketing, like that sign that you made and things like that, like that's an ad, right? It's marketing, right? Yeah. You're marketing to people, future people. Another thing that is marketing that you're saying, that $1 million plus producer who, has brought in some friends, that's marketing, right? Like showing the possibility of the type of income that you can generate in this business. Boy, that's a case study. That's a testimonial, right? Like that's a walking, living testimonial, right? Like it all goes together. And I think that it's very important for business owners to look at it that way, that, man, this all feeds together, right? It all feeds together. That leads me to, you started, from sales to field production supervisor, like, and then all of a sudden Matt's all over the Instagram, right? Like, where did that thought process come from? Where did you realize, man, we got to start creating content, and content is going to be, a kind of a core business function that we're doing over here?
To be honest with you, since I became the field production supervisor, I always ran Instagram, Facebook, just because I'm the one on the job. So a lot of it was just, before and after pictures. It's kind of just repetitive, boring stuff. Maybe a couple, stories here and there. I didn't want to put my face on, to be honest with you, but, it's the easiest is for me to do it. It's something I had to get comfortable with, and it's been fairly new. Probably within the past month, we've really been putting stuff out. But honestly, the owner said, there was another company, saw that they are actually a dog food company that he knows the owner of, and they do stuff like that. It's more personable, kind of shows you, you're real people. They do, funny stuff or stuff in their office, stuff like that. So he actually brought up the idea, and he asked if, he's like, maybe you can start doing that. And me being, kind of a company guy, I just dove into it head first. And, a lot of times the video, you have to get comfortable with it, because a lot of times I'll make a video and I'll hate it. And, like my voice, I feel like my voice is too deep or whatever, but you just got to put it out there. You know what I mean? If you don't put it out there, you'll never know. But, when we spoke yesterday, kind of preparing for this, the Instagram, it might not get you, say, a job per se, like someone messaging you saying, hey, can you do my roof? But it's something like Google reviews. It's something that people will come across and be, wow, their page looks awesome. Their page is professional, but they also show a side of being a human, you know what I mean? And being real people. And, it's just another tool for potential customers to see and reach out to you.
Yeah. It brings that authenticity and understanding of who you are. Like it builds so much trust. It's, I've had there was a podcast guest that I had on a long time ago, Gilad Rubinski. His team used to do just customer testimonial videos on a cell phone, like on every job, right? And their whole Facebook feed was just full of these customer testimonials. Can you only imagine what that prospective customer of yours, how that makes them feel when they scroll through that, right? Or even like what you're saying, a before and after picture is something, but having a little personality with it, having a little bit of fun with it, man, that resonates so much. I have 9-year-old twin boys, and one of them was doing like a recording on his iPad, and he's like, "I don't sound like that." And I'm like, no, that's actually what you sound like. It's kind of, it's hard, man, to get through some of those things. Like, man, I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way I sound on camera. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
But the more you do it, the more you just get used to it. How has that journey been for you? Like, and how did you start? Let's start there. How did you start? What was your first kind of inclination? Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do every day. Like, I am going to, whatever that was. How did it start for you?
I feel like I've always had a good idea of like what good content could be, or, I'm pretty tech savvy. I can edit a photo. I know how to edit videos on Premiere, stuff like that. It's always been something I like to do. You know what I mean? Make a page look nice, all that stuff. I kind of just, when I started doing production, I just asked for the login and said, hey, I'm going to start doing, drone videos. I wasn't so good at the drone, but we have a couple of them, but I'm going to start doing that. You don't get to do as much as you want because you have to run the job first. You know what I mean? But that's kind of how I started. And then, now we're starting to do more personal stuff, like I said, and it's all about doing it more and getting more comfortable with it. Like I did a video, I think last week. It got a lot. I posted on my personal page too. A lot of people were cracking up about it. I said Better Business Bureau. I messed up the word, but instead of trashing the video, I said I kind of laughed at myself and said, that's kind of a hard word to say. And then I posted the video of me kind of messing up and then repeating it, Better Business Bureau. And, that's something that, a lot of people love because, again, I made fun of myself kind of. And it's something that everyone messes up that word. It's not the easiest word. It's hard to spell bureau as it is hard to say it. You know what I mean? So, I think I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. It's something I like to do. Like when I reached out to you guys, it's something that, I think it's important. And, one, it's fun. I think it's fun to do it. Makes the job fun. You know what I mean? It makes it more fun. You're not just going to work every day and, doing what you're supposed to do. It makes it fun. You get to shoot videos. You get to, show what you're doing. People get to see the work that you're doing. They get to see what you're doing in the office. I think that's super important. And it just makes it more fun at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's like, to me, it's just get started, right? Like you have to just get started doing something. You're going to mess up your videos. You're not going to be good when you get started. Like it's good, but you just continue to do it and get better. As you've kind of gotten into it now, it sounds like you're starting to get more creative with it, like doing the video of the Better Business Bureau and how do you say that and why is it spelled that way? Like,
yeah,
I believe that once you start doing it, like you start seeing potential content in many different places. Does that happen for you?
Yeah. I mean, whether it's, following you guys or there's a page called Roofer Memes that posts funny stuff that relates to roofers or shout out to Roofs by Don. We follow him. Yeah. He does a bunch of content and you kind of take some ideas and, you start to see once you get out of your, shell, you start to have more fun and you start to see, what could be funny. Something might not work. I've posted stuff and it gets maybe one like and the That's like right. is from the owner. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, as long as you keep doing it and it gets more fun. Like I've recently started doing kind of not memes, but funnier videos with, a caption that has to relate to roofing. And, it's just fun to do it. And then, like you said, you start to get more creative and you start to do more. Like I just got, we got these Rode mics now.
Yeah.
So we'll make the sound better. We're kind of diving into it a little bit more. I got the DJI, the handheld thing for your phone.
Gimbal. Yep.
So yeah, we're just diving into it a little bit more. Before we know it, we might be like you guys with professional cameras and
cameras following you around and everything. Yeah, like my friend Andrew Itnour he did that. He got into that, and he has a videographer friend that he knew, and he was like, "Hey, come out with me once a week, once a month, whatever it was," and like that there's levels to it, but I want people to understand that you just have to do it. Like you have to start doing it. It is how people communicate these days. Like it's the craziest thing.
I would also say, try not to focus on, how many people like it.
Yes.
Or how many followers you get. Like we haven't gained that many followers. Like that's what a lot of people focus on.
Yeah.
But if you look at the insights, like you probably already know about, you guys probably track it way more than we do. But if you look at the insights, you see how many people see it, how many people have watched it. That's really more important than, if you have 10,000 followers or,
that's right.
We only have like 480 followers or something. But, when you post reels or stuff like that, people see it.
Yeah, there's a kind of a stat that I've seen a lot of times that I've used in some presentations that like 1% of people online are creators, 9% are contributors, and 90% are lurkers.
Okay.
So when we break that down, right, like if you're part of the 1%, right, you're creating content, you're a creator. But then there's the contributors. Those are the people that'll start, commenting and liking and sharing and being a part of it. They're not creating the content, but they're being a part of your content, right? Mm-hmm. But my goodness, the power is in that other 90%. You never see them. You don't hear from them. But all of a sudden, it happened with Andrew Itnour down in Memphis, where all of a sudden, like someone's like, "Hey, you're the guy I see on Instagram all the time." It happened to me down at, going out to the roofing shows and the, IRE and RoofCon. And it's like, "Hey, you're the guy from the videos," right? And it's not about the quantity. It's about just that you're getting yourself out there. And the more times people see you, the more times they relate to you, the more likely they are to call you. There was an old, this was a good one for you, Matt, to think about. Is it, it used to be called it's called the advertising rule of 7. And the advertising rule of 7 was kind of a TV thing. And it was that people need to see your brand at least 7 times before they even recognize it, right? Before they recognize it. I just saw a more recent study that now it's more like 21 times.
Okay.
Because
there's so much stuff out there.
We have so much coming at us at all times, right?
Right.
But if you were consistently creating content and they open up their Instagram and you're in their story and they're scrolling through the posts and you're in their posts, and then they go over to Reels and there's one from you in Reels. And if that happens on a consistent basis in their lives, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember you. And so it's all about just doing it. So you guys just did it. One of the things I hear from owners, I wanted to chat with you about this because I like the being a team member and getting your perspective on it from a team member. You kind of said that you're a company guy. I heard you say, right? Like, I'm a company guy. So when the owner said, "Hey, let's do this," what I hear from owners all the time, they're like, "Man, I just can't get my team to buy in on this. I just can't get." It sounds like, you've kind of taken on that role, but there's a lot more people on the team. Is anyone else contributing? Has anyone else bought in like you have in the creation of the content? And how would, from your perspective, how does an owner get that buy-in?
Yeah, there's definitely been people buying in. Like our top earner, Joe, he's really dove in to making content now. He actually, because the sales guys are kind of their own entity as far as like the
Yeah.
way they earn money and stuff.
Yep.
So he's actually worked with a marketing company, I think that he said, to kind of push his videos out there. But he's making more stuff, and he's not used to being on camera either. So me and him are kind of going through it together.
Yeah.
Then I have another guy, Matt, who's been here forever. He's talking about starting an Instagram himself. Because for the sales guys, it's good too. It doesn't have to be on the Pro Storm. It could just be their own thing too. And that's what Joe's doing. And I think that's what Matt's going to start doing. But the way I think people start doing it is when they see somebody like me. Like I'm pretty serious when I'm coming to work. I joke around, but for the most part, when I'm working, I'm pretty serious.
Yeah.
So like everyone always says I look like I'm mad, but I'm not, at least. But I think once they start seeing a certain person do it, then I think you'll start seeing more and more people do it. You know what I mean? Like the owner isn't saying, "Hey, you guys have to do this. You have to do this." But when they see me come in here doing this, like I've already had a couple guys walk by looking in because we have glass.
Yeah.
But when they see that, then I think more people will start doing it and doing it. And I think the way that the owner gets people to do it, or the people trust him when he asks, or he hasn't asked any sales guys, but when he mentions it, I think a way an owner can do it is if he has, like I said, like not, I think there's a bad term around company guy. I think people think, you know what I mean? They think it is, whatever it is. But if they have a trusted guy, if the owner has a trusted guy who starts doing it, then I think people will start following in their footsteps.
Yeah. So find the person is what I'm hearing. Find the person that's willing first. Mm-hmm. Right. Like,
he already knew I was willing to do social media because I was doing it.
That's right.
It's a matter of, he said, you don't have to be on, he's like, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I think it's a good idea. He's throwing an idea out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Dive in.
And so if the owner, in my opinion, if the owner can't find someone, then to me, the owner has to be that person. Because then you become the leader, right? Like you're the leader, you're the, people are looking at you, you're doing it. So maybe they start doing it. I think it really gets some traction on the sales team when the sales team sees what happens from it.
Right.
It's, and like you said, they can have their own personal brand within the company brand when they're posting on their personal page. And man, it amazes me how many salespeople don't tell people what they do for a living.
Yeah. I mean, for us too, it's pretty easy. I mean, there's some people that sell medical devices. It's probably hard to explain. It's like, I sell roofs, anything exterior we sell. But I would also say like you need, for an owner, like there's got to be freedom and I'm free to do a lot of things, which that's why I love working here. The owner isn't constantly, down your back. Yeah. There's a lot of freedom with the sales guys, a lot of freedom with me. So, he's kind of like take the ball and run with it. And that's what I love. I think that's what an owner needs to do too. If you want your guys to start making content and you're constantly checking in like, hey, how did that video do? What, why is it like this? Why is it like that? The owner comments on all the videos I put on our account, and it's all positive. You know what I mean? It's never negative. It's all good stuff. And, to him, he's like, basically, I think it's like watching your kids have fun. I think that's probably what he sees. He's like, all right, he's out there, he's doing his job, but he's also, making good stuff for us and he's having fun. Yeah. So I think that's also key for owners to get people to start doing it.
Yeah. Make it fun, make it part of it, make it part of that day to day. Let's go. I want to shift a little bit towards, kind of the customer experience. There's, as companies grow, that field supervisor, that job site supervisor role, I think the companies that I find, like, there's a point in time where that's a necessary function, right? Sometimes they'll have their sales guys do it, but sometimes a sales guy needs to be off on another appointment or doing another inspection or meeting with an adjuster or something, right? Like there may be higher dollar or, tasks or things that are not within their skill set. Not a lot of, I don't find that salespeople are the most organized people all the time. Like, so, having that job site supervisor, that field supervisor, someone on the team that makes sure that the customer is happy. In that customer journey, right? You have your, through the sales process into production, what are you guys doing, to make that homeowner experience the best possible?
So I think, like you said, not every company or, they might have a sales guy do it like what I do. I think that's the biggest thing. Like if you have a guy that's his job is what I do, is be the face while you're out there, have someone to, if they have questions, I always give them my number because I might have to run out. I might have to go to another job. I'm always there in the morning, always there during the day, always there when we're done and cleaned up. We always do a walk around at the end. So it's kind of just an extra assurance that, hey, this guy, he represents us. He's going to be there making sure everything gets done right. If you have any questions, you can ask him, you can call him. He'll be out on the job. You can come out and talk to him. I think that's huge. And, we also, for the customer experience, usually when we hit like a big area, like we're in PA outside of Philly, we don't have hailstorms like Texas and stuff like that. It's usually 1-inch hail. But, when we open up a new area that's hit, the first job we do, we will bring out a videographer and we'll kind of make a whole production. Like there'll be all the sales guys there, all of our trucks there. You'll see the drone flying, videotaping it. And I think the homeowner loves it. It makes them feel, it makes them feel important. It makes them feel like they're taken care of. It's a whole production. It's a whole thing. And then that will get more customers in the neighborhood because they're like, what's going on? So that's worked for us. We usually do that and we'll do it a couple times just, to get an area started.
Yeah, that's a great, really what you're doing is getting the attention of the neighborhood, right? The best companies that I've got owners that I've talked to on the show that I know in person, that we work with as clients on the marketing side, like the companies that are best at turning one into many. I say this all the time, man. And it's how can we turn one into many? How can we get more attention from what we're doing and making a spectacle out of that is a great way to do things. What are you doing? How are you doing quality control? How are you making sure that the homeowner, what the homeowner expressed to the sales rep of, hey, I want to make sure this happens and this happens or this doesn't happen. How are you making sure that communication flows well?
So we do basically when we sign a contract, it comes into our office. We have our guy, Alex. He's a production manager in the office. We will do a phone call to the homeowner right before we schedule them, and we'll go over everything. You know what I mean? Yep. Hey, you want it. This is the shingle color you want it. This is the color drip edge. We're replacing 2 skylights. You basically go down the whole list because, there might be something that wasn't communicated. And then there you can figure out if there's something the sales guy missed or whatever. But sometimes stuff slips through the cracks. So if that happens, then I'm there in the morning before we start the job and I'll go over it with them. Kind of say, hey, this is what we're doing. It's going to get a little messy. We're going to have it tarps, the whole 9.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, it'll pop up like, what about, I thought I was getting this done, stuff like that. And then, I make a quick call because, the sales guys are busy. They might have forgot to write it down, or I'll check their scope. And if they got paid for it, then I'll know, or, it might be an out-of-pocket expense, but, just a quick call and then we'll figure it out from there. That's the best way. It's kind of just a 3-part system of nothing will be able to slip through. So sales guy, production in the office, and then me. I'm the last one, there to save it. If, say it's a wrong shingle color, that's like the worst nightmare, right? You install the wrong shingle color, which thankfully we've never done. But, if there wasn't someone, say like me there, and the crew just gets there to start, they're just there to work. You know what I mean? And they don't check the shingle color. The homeowner sent an email, and then we didn't send it to our supplier. then, the guys are just going to install the wrong shingles. You know what I
Well,
mean? So I kind of look the night before. I know it's a little crazy, but I'll lay in bed and I'll look through Job Nimbus and I'll look through our jobs.
yeah.
And then I'll kind of look at the contract with the scope with the roof order. And I've caught things like that the night before. Or I'll ask like, hey, why is this checked off? Blah, 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 stuff like that. Why is skylights checked off, but you don't have skylights on the material order? And then you'll find out the sales guys accidentally checked it off. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a 3-part system, just to make sure nothing slips through the cracks.
And you got to have it, when you're, especially as the volume picks up, then like those little things, man, that adds up, right? Like that anything slipping through the cracks, boy, it doesn't just add up in terms of like, oh, it cost here or something there, but time. Right, like time is it just adds up in terms of time. It's a lot. Through that process, you guys are a highly reviewed company. I feel like a couple hundred reviews. Are you asking for the review? Is the sales rep asking for the review? Is the office calling later and asking for the review? How are you guys doing that to get that review count up?
We want more reviews. I think we have 260. That's never enough, but I do it occasionally. But to be honest with you, the owner, a lot of times, because he knows sales guys are busy, they might not think about it. It's super important, but they might not think about it. He'll do incentives. Hey, it's slow time of year. How about you reach out to previous customers, see if they're happy with everything, see if they wouldn't mind, posting a review. We actually 2 years ago we did a contest. The Phillies were in the World Series when we played the Astros.
Yeah.
He did. It was super nice of him. He got 4 World Series tickets. He said top 4 guys who get the most reviews get the tickets.
That's awesome.
So it was like a week, but everybody was reaching out to, even me. I was reaching out to former customers I did, and I haven't done sales in 3 years. But I was reaching out but there's a way to approach it too. You don't just say, hey, give me this review. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm just reaching out, want to make sure everything's good. No issues. You're happy with the roof. If you are happy with it, could you please leave us a review? If for some reason you're not happy with it, please let us know and give us a chance to fix it or whatever it is. Because, that's what we always tell homeowners too, especially me on the job. I always say, hey, listen, a plant might get messed up. Something might, it's construction. Something might happen, but we're here to fix it. Like, we're not running away. You know what I mean? We're here. And I think that, because we've had some jobs where stuff gets broken, it happens, and they still give us 5 stars.
Something happens like on a job, like in construction, something like
you wouldn't think
amazing.
Of it.
Right?
But they still give us a 5-star review, and it helps us out too, because it's not just leaving 5 stars. They have the whole description in there. Hey, they actually broke my landscaping light, but they came out and they replaced it, and they had great communication, stuff like that. But yeah, the incentives are big. And then guys, when they're downtime, like I said earlier, sales guys, when you have downtime, you always have to find something to do. And that's something to do because you might get a referral from that too.
That's right.
Like, oh, hey, Matt, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Thanks for, you know what I mean? My neighbor next door, there's always something to do. But the reviews are huge. And for an owner, I think ours has done a great job of doing incentives.
Yeah, the incentives work. And the incentives, I've never found that incentivizing homeowners works, but I've always seen incentivizing the team works. And that's a creative one, man. I haven't heard one like that. I've heard about the baseball tickets. I've heard of like other companies that have taken the whole team on a cruise and like all, lots of cool stuff that you can do because they are so impactful to your business. Like people look you up. They're going to look online. They want to make sure that you're reputable. They want to make sure that they're making the right choice. So what, you guys are in you're a storm restoration company in Pennsylvania. What the heck is going on up there? Like, this isn't, the times are definitely changing. You don't, that the Northeast is not somewhere where we think of in terms of, the big storm restoration companies. How do you guys only focus on storm restoration? Do you have a mix of retail and restoration? How have you guys, kind of structured that with the company?
So I'd say it's probably 90-10 storm insurance work, 10%. We call it private sales, but the owner of my company has been doing it for, probably 20 plus years. He kind of started when no one really knew about it. He's had guys leave and start their own thing. Yeah. And now it's crazy. Like like I told you yesterday, there's like 20, every time I go out, I see a different truck, new roofing company, but you have to separate yourself because there's more competition than ever. And we're not in an area like Texas and stuff where there's constant storms. So you really have to do these type of things that we're talking about to be able to get the work and be able to, be successful because we don't have another storm coming up. I'd say we probably get 1 to 2 hailstorms, early summer or late spring. And then that's kind of what we work. And, we'll work New Jersey, North New Jersey, near New York, South Jersey, Philly, Delaware. We'll work all those areas. We've been out to Pittsburgh. But, this year, our biggest year, we got, helped us out. We have one, it's called Yardley, which is a township. It's about 20, 30 minutes from our office. So, that kind of helped us out. But, you have to do the things that separate other companies. Like you said, Google reviews is huge. Yeah. We're Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor. There's only one other in our area. That's huge. We can give the best warranty with Owens Corning, and nobody else can. So, kind of gives you an advantage. But, you just got to be able to work the storm. We have great sales guys too, because we'll pick up jobs because, a lot of other companies, they might not know how to get something approved after it gets denied the first time. So we have our guy like Joe. He's read books. He's studied. He's watched everybody's stuff. He knows how to, the avenues to go to get it approved. He knows how to do a readjustment, bring in, an engineer or do a third party. He knows what to do. And that helps us out a lot with not having as many storms or as big as storms.
Yeah. You got to know how to work the storms, right? You have to know how to to get those claims approved. That's a big part of, a lot of times I see a lot of companies that are more retail focused that they just don't have that level of understanding on the storm side. So you gotta be able to do both, I think, and depending on where you're at in the country, of course, but yeah. What do you think the greatest insight is that you could share with the audience that's kind of help ProStorm, be successful?
I'd say create a family atmosphere. We're like family. Like our owner, the reason I've been here, the reason I love working here, to be 100%, I tell people I love my job. I've never thought growing up that unless I did made the NFL or something, I never thought I would love my job, but I love my job. And it's because it's like a family atmosphere here. I have guys in the office right now and they're just hanging out. Like people come to the office. You want to create a fun atmosphere and you want people to come in, even if they don't have anything to do. If they're bored, they come in and guess what? You start working on something. It's just natural. But, our owner is super approachable. He's just like us. It's not someone you're afraid of. Yeah. We joke around, stuff. I'll make fun of him. Sometimes it's not like I'm afraid, I'm going to get fired because I made fun of him. That's the biggest thing. I think it's creating a family atmosphere and, doing some team stuff. Like we do Phillies games, we do dinners, we do Sixers games, stuff like that. And we don't really talk about work. You know what I mean? It's just having fun. And I'd say that's the biggest thing. And that's what keeps people happy.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Matt. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.